Former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in West Palm Beach has a busy weekend ahead. The Washington Post reports, quote, Saturday night, the Republican National Committee has reserved Mar-a-Lago for a 400-person banquet. The price tag for that dinner, more than $100,000, according to a person involved in the planning. The GOP is still Donald Trump's party. The clearest proof of that, it's still finding ways to pay Donald Trump money. Back with us tonight, Jason Johnson, a campaign veteran and journalist, contributor to the GRIO and professor of politics and journalism at Morgan State University. Bill Kristol, the author and writer and thinker, and Politico, a veteran of the Reagan and Bush administrations and editor-at-large of The Bulwark. Great to see you guys. So, Jason, give me your assessment. How much power does Donald Trump still have over the Republican Party?
He has all the power until they can come up with another leader. The people who are the supposed heir apparents of Donald Trump, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, DeSantis, none of them have the charisma, none of them have the reputation, none of them have the Q rating of Donald Trump. So it's not uncommon for the last president to, from that party to still be the party leader. The problem is he's disgraced and he's hated and he's loathed by a large chunk of the population. And he is being contrasted consistently with a much more calm and seemingly thus far competent president of the United States in Joe Biden. So I don't know why Republicans keep going to the same well, but I don't think they have a lot of ideas. And we saw that last fall. They literally had no party platform other than reaffirming their loyalty to Donald Trump. So they're going to stick with this as long as they can. And what they can't accomplish in the ballot box, they will accomplish through voter suppression or violence. And Trump's the number one way to get that done.
You have a message for them, Bill, with this group you work with called the Republican Accountability Project, this new ad you've got out. I want to play just a little bit of it.
Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Kevin McCarthy, Ron Johnson. What are they doing this weekend? They are going to Mar-a-Lago to kiss Donald Trump's ring, to pledge their loyalty to a man who incited a mob against our Capitol, to a man who tried to cancel our democracy, to a man that has turned the Republican Party to the immorality party.
Bill, who's your audience here? Are there still people who don't have a firm enough opinion of Trump or the direction of the Republican Party? Tell us what something like that you think might be able to accomplish.
I think it's a useful reminder, I hope, to some people of how much the party remains Trump's party despite everything he did, not just as president, not just in neglect of COVID and not just neglect, but the utter mishandling of the pandemic. And then, of course, after November 3rd, the big lie, the insurrection. And yet, and if you'll notice the ad, we have other ads where we criticize, of course, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all those characters. But who's in this ad? Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, both ran for president in 2016, very critical of Donald Trump. Ron Johnson, who was a kind of mainstream senator from a swing state, and Kevin McCarthy, the House Republican leader. These are 5 years ago, you would have said, this is kind of the mainstream of the Republican Party. And actually, it is the mainstream of the Republican Party. And that's what's so terrible. And so hopefully an ad like this might cause a few people to think, is this where we want to go? I mean, Trump, maybe, they all like Trump better than I did. They voted for him. They were willing to defend it. But they want to stick with this?
Time after time after time, they've had an opportunity to step up, including after the insurrection at the Capitol. I mean, you've got Gaetz, who's defiant tonight. Congressman Adam Kinzinger is the only Republican calling on him to step down. You and I are old enough to remember when a sex scandal would take down a politician. What's the Gaetz situation going to tell us about congressional Republicans, about Senate Republicans?
I can go first on this. I can see Jason's ready to say something. No, it's terrible. Well, who's even criticized him? Who said, we don't know if there's exact illegality or what illegality, but is this the behavior? I mean, is this a suitable behavior for a member of Congress? What about all the embezzle, the grift of the Trump fundraising, having to give back $120 million, those ads that went from Trump to this is very revealing, I think, to the Republican National Congressional Committee, the same sort of dishonest ads where they automatically sign you up each month and then double your contribution and say, if you don't keep this box checked, which doubles your contribution and keeps it, makes it a monthly contribution, then you're defecting from Donald Trump. We're going to tell him about it. I mean, the thuggishness, the kind of cult of person, the creepiness, That's gone from Trump throughout the party, I'm afraid.
And Matt Gaetz is, Jason, fundraising off of this, comparing what he's going through to the Russia hoax.
Yeah, well, Chris, I'm not surprised by any of this. Look, if you can bring yourself to vote for Donald Trump, then any of the sort of acolytes that come from him are people that you can accept, whether it's Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Greetings, who's ahead in the polls right now, running for Senate in Missouri. You don't care about sexism. You don't care about misogyny. You don't care about adultery. And I've said this all along with Matt Gaetz. When it comes to the Republican Party, still, you can get away with being Roy Moore. You just can't be Larry Craig. Right? As long as this scandal has to do with him engaging in heterosexual behavior, you're going to have a large number of Republicans who are perfectly fine with it, who will blame the young women who may or may not be associated, who will call it youthful hijinks, who will say that it's all a scam, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not surprised. I don't think Matt Gaetz will be able to get out of this. I think at some point he will eventually have too many legal problems to continue to have any respect within the caucus because he doesn't have much to begin with. But it doesn't change the overall fervor of the Republican Party for these kinds of people. Somebody else will step in and be Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz came in because Devin Nunes had sort of fallen off. And when he falls off, it'll be Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's always somebody willing to line up to be the next internet Fox News, OAN, Newsmax superstar of the Republican Party rather than, actually trying to pass policy and make the country functional.
I mean, we're out of time, but do you think he's going to fall off? Do you think that this is going to have an impact on him? Is he going to lose his job?
I think he's eventually going to resign. I don't think he'll be able to run again because somebody will probably primary him by next year. But it doesn't mean that in a year and a half he's not going to have a job somewhere. Someone's going to give him a podcast. He's going to be on YouTube because there is no shame anymore for these kinds of situations. And he'll claim that the deep state destroyed him and that they faked his Venmo and that all of this is ridiculous. I am waiting for the Matt Gaetz show to begin sometime in the spring of 2023.
Jason Johnson, Bill Kristol, great to see you guys on a Friday night. I don't know if Bill's going to be able to go to bed tonight, but anyway, thanks to both of you.